Hello YouTube, today I'm going to talk to you about deloads, and I think I'm going to be offering a point of view that is slightly different than what you usually hear on YouTube Fitness, because I'm going to talk about deloads from a bodybuilding standpoint. So just as an introduction, there are multiple ways people deload, and in my opinion there are objectively good and bad ways to do so. For me, taking a week off or even 3 or 4 days off when you don't lift at all is not a good deload. It might potentially be something that strength athletes are going to use before a big competition where they're going to recharge for 2 days beforehand with no lifting. But for bodybuilders, it just does not apply. You don't need to do that unless you have an injury that you're nursing, and in which case maybe you should not be lifting anything. But even in most cases, in my opinion, it's always better to move and get some blood flowing. The only exceptions would be a bone broken or something that tore, like a tendon, in which case, yes, you're just going to not train, but it's not a deload. So the objectively better way to deload for me would be to go in the gym and do the lifts that you usually do, but you're going to do them with low intensity and low volume to reduce your tonnage and artificially make the training much easier so that it's less taxing, but you still get some blood flowing, and more importantly, you train the movement patterns so that you don't have to enter a phase of relearning them when you get back to the gym. That's something that a lot of powerlifters do. But I'm not a powerlifter, and in my opinion, as a bodybuilder, this is still a subpar way to approach things for multiple reasons. The first one being, why do you deload? You deload because you have one characteristic that you want to recharge so that you can show your max potential. What is that characteristic? Strength. Bodybuilders don't care about strength. We're not strength athletes. So why are you trying to recharge your strength? It makes no sense. The second thing is that by doing that method, you are shooting yourself in the foot because you're lowering your tonnage. And you might argue that you are lowering your tonnage because it's going to help you recover so that in the future, after the deload, you're rested and you can get more tonnage in. And I would say to that if you need to have 3 or 4 days off every 2 months to be able to keep progressing, your programming is wrong. Either you're doing something wrong with intensity or volume, but it should not put you in a hole so that you need days to recover from it. The frequency you assign to your training between days and between body parts and the window of time you give yourself for the muscle fibers to recover should be enough. Always. You shouldn't need a joker of 2 days to recover from something. If you do that, in my opinion, it's either that you messed up and therefore it's sort of an emergency response to let your body rest, or if it's actually something that's implemented within your program and it is something that is going to be happening on a schedule, you're hurting your gains. That's my opinion. You should really be focusing on volume and intensity manipulation instead of having that crush of the deload. I personally never deload. The only time I rest is basically the days I give myself in between body part splits so that the muscle can recover, and Sundays. I have one day where I just say, this is a day where I do nothing, I let the body fully recover, I don't even do band work. It's just for me and my family a day off. And this is more of a mental recharge, to be fair, than a physical one. It makes me crave training more so that I can enter the next cycle of 6 days with a lot of energy and fire because I cannot wait to train again. I could do without. I used to do that without. I used to train 7 days a week. I never had any problems and never had to deload. The injuries I got from back in those days were due to poor programming. For me, the root of all issues, the fact that you're not making gains, you're stalling, you have tendonitis somewhere, all of that is due to poor programming, which the root cause of that is volume and intensity manipulation that is subpar and a frequency manipulation that is not thought out properly. So that's going to be it for the video about deload. If you want to learn more about how to deload for strength. There are multiple powerlifting channels that can give you good info, but in my case, for bodybuilding, I really advise you to either pick rest days or think about your frequency in more details so that you don't have to have those periods of time where you don't lift as much weight. And we also know that deload phases are super boring. You're bored in the gym, and you're bored because you're not pushing your limits. But you're not pushing your limits to make sure that your strength then comes back. But why do you care about that? You shouldn't care about that because you're not going to test your strength. You're trying to get muscle hypertrophy, right? And to wrap up, if you notice that your strength does this, you shouldn't be taking a deload. Again, a deload is just artificially fixing something that is a problem somewhere else in your training. Your strength should be always doing this. And you can vary between low reps, high reps, I don't care about that. But if you have dips of strength, if you have tonnage that somehow falls through the roof and you have no idea why, keep an eye on your diet. You might not be doing what you think you're doing in the kitchen. And again, I'm repeating myself, pay closer attention to your program. So that's it for today, short and sweet video. I hope it was informative. See you soon.